Hi, everyone. Good evening. Hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. It's a busy one out there. Here, this is Blair Miller in the Atlanta News First Newsroom here at the First Alert News Desk. And tonight we wanted to update you on some of the top stories out there, including a lot of the weather that's moving through right now. We're going to hear from meteorologist Patrick Pete here in just a couple of minutes, but we know that there's been some significant storms moving through, and there's been a threat for flooding in some parts of the area, and we've been tracking some of that as it's been moving through over the last hour. And so back here in the newsroom, making a bunch of calls and sending reporters to different parts of the area to kind of check this out. And this is one of the areas we're talking about. And there was a threat of flooding. This was happening right on 285 near Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. And that has been a significant area we've been getting reports on throughout the evening. Flooding at one point shut this down. You can see why. And Patrick, I know you're kind of cycling through this, but you can actually see the car drive through this at one point. And this is a good example. It may not look very deep, but you hear that saying, turn around, don't drown. Yeah. And this is why. And so this is now back open, but it did close down 285 at one point. They shut down the road while rescuers were trying to get to that white vehicle that was really stranded in that water, and you had a bunch of other vehicles behind it that were kind of waiting. So this cleared up maybe 30, 45 minutes ago, I believe. So that's one of the areas we've been watching here tonight. Now we're also heading to Cobb County right now because we have a neighborhood there. The reports that we're getting is about maybe 20 homes with some issues with flooding right now. We know the fire department is currently helping with some rescues, and some people may be trapped there. So no injuries reported yet, but we're making calls back in the newsroom. We have one of our reporters headed to that scene right now. Finally, I want to talk about Sandy Springs because we were talking to the fire department there, and there were a report of 4 trees down, some water standing on 285. That's what we were talking about, because some of the drains had gotten clogged because the water was coming down so quickly. And I would bring in meteorologist Patrick Pete. I know this is something you've been tracking. You keep coming from the Weather Center into the newsroom, giving us updates tonight, and it becomes a quick threat, and that's what flash flooding is all about, right?
It is, and we were having this conversation earlier about the potential for this to be the story. We've had rain every afternoon, spotty showers and storms, scattered showers and storms. A lot of areas have received it day after day. Some folks have just had it intermittently. We get these thunderstorms that develop this time of year. They fire up, they pop up, we call them pop-ups, and then they move slow. Then that pretty much just drops a lot of rain in a very small location, and you end up getting this collection, and that's what leads to these warnings. But also, you get training of these thunderstorms. So even though they're moving slow, they're all moving in the same direction. So once one moves, another one pops up behind it, and it moves in that same area. And that's what we've seen unfold tonight. It's been a very messy.
The biggest concern, I know it's kind of been changing, but the biggest concern right now is Cobb County, right?
Yeah, we're watching Cobb County very closely, but we're also watching northern Fulton, northern Gwinnett, and northern DeKalb, because that whole little line across those northern counties, we've seen 1.5 to nearly 3 inches of rainfall across that region. But we are seeing some more storms start to fire up in portions of Alabama that are drifting towards the east-northeast, which means that they're moving in that same general direction as the area that's already warned. So we've already seen that the soils are saturated.
Sure.
And then we have the potential for more of these thunderstorms to move our way. The guidance is hinting that these storms should weaken as they move in. But this time of year, you get a little bit of drying, a little dry sliding, a couple of hours in between that. You just never know. It's very humid out there. It's a very juicy atmosphere. These thunderstorms may be able to hold on just a little bit longer, which means that we can see those areas get another round of rain this evening.
More like the flash flooding concerns? Is that the biggest concern?
That is definitely by far the biggest concern. But you also have to remember, with this being near saturation,
sure.
Any thunderstorm that rolls through, even if it's just a run-of-the-mill thunderstorm that produces 30, 40 miles per hour wind gusts, you now have to deal with the fact that the grounds are saturated, which means that the tree roots no longer are firm in some places. Some of these trees are already old. So then, you have the combination of a gusty wind that isn't an overwhelming wind, but just a gusty wind. It has the ability to knock over a tree when the grounds are saturated. 30, 40 miles per hour gusts. You wouldn't get a severe thunderstorm warning for something like that. It takes winds to be 58 plus to get a severe thunderstorm warning. So you'd be below that, but you could still see some impact. So while our main concern, of course, is going to be the flooding potential over the course of the next couple of days, we fully expect there to be some isolated tree down reports because of the fact that we're at saturation.
I think one of the hardest things for people has been day after day. We've had this threat out there, but we've had like the spottiness of all this, and so it's not like you have one line of storms coming in. It's going to hit around 4:15 or whatever and move on. It's been kind of it's dark out. We might be seeing some storms here in a few minutes.
Like legitimately, 85% of the day is great,
right?
But it's that 15% that has not been. And I know that this has been annoying to probably a lot of people because we've had a string of first alert weather days back to back to back. but it's because of the setup. We don't expect every day to impact everybody the same, but our whole goal, because with this setup, you can't forecast 24 hours in advance that it's going to be, what is that?
Roswell Road.
285 in
Yeah,
Roswell
285,
Road.
yeah.
You can't say that that's where it's going to pop up at.
Right.
You just know that the dynamics are there. It's a juicy atmosphere. There's a lot of, we look at something called precipitable water values. It's basically the amount of moisture in a column of air. If you could measure a column of air essentially all the way through the atmosphere, you can actually determine how much possible rainfall rates you could get. And whenever we're seeing precipitable water values upwards of 2 inches, we know that, hey, where a thunderstorm fires up, it could be an issue.
You're throwing out that physics degree there,
Yeah,
aren't you? I know.
hey, listen
You
here,
always got to throw it out there somehow.
You gotta throw it
Remember,
out and let
I
you
got
know
my
that-
physics degree.
just let you know that this isn't just as simple as coming in and guessing. It's not guesswork. But no, like it's
No, I know.
it's a process. So we're looking at that, and we've been seeing this setup for days. And we're going to see it tomorrow. Tomorrow it looks to be later in the day. It looks to be 5 p.m. to maybe
About the same kind of thing?
yeah,
or?
same type of thing. 5 p.m. to maybe 2 a.m. ish. Looks like our best chance to get a decent soaking of rain tomorrow. But then we're going to see a little bit of moisture lingering on Thursday as well, because this boundary just isn't going anywhere. So it's just going to literally, wherever the boundary, it lifts, it sinks. As it moves, it's the axis of where you're going to get the most action. So if you're watching our newscast tonight at 10, I'll show you a map. You'll see that boundary draped through our area. You're going to see storms all along it. That's just the setup this time of year, unfortunately. I wish it was as nice as a cold front moving in, scattered rain, scattered storms, bam, or a tropical low moving in, rainy for a day and a half, and then leaving. It's just not that. You know, and unfortunately, it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a breakdown this weekend where there will not be as much moisture
that'll be
around,
good, yeah.
but there's still going to be some.
Sure.
So we still fully expect there to be some showers and some rumbles around. We haven't really seen much in the way of severe thunderstorms out of this setup. We've had, I'd say maybe
Right.
6 over
You're
the course
right.
of the
Right.
last week or so.
Right.
So this hasn't really been that type
Right.
of situation, but, you know, and I know, like, talking to you guys and talking to our producers,
Yeah.
it's counterintuitive, right? Because we're telling you we're in a drought across North Georgia, but we have flooding issues, right? It sounds like
Right. How
Patrick,
can all that be?
doesn't
Right.
go together.
Right.
But what we experienced here in North Georgia was a flash drought. June was dry, like dry. Because, you know, we were at a surplus before
Right.
June. I mean,
I
we
remember you
still
guys
are
talking
right
about
now.
that. Right.
But that just goes to show you how wet we were before June. And then June, we just couldn't pay for raindrops. Like, Mother Nature didn't want our money. But we were really, really dry. We had a flash drought. And a flash drought is different than a regular drought because everything dries out so fast, it takes a little bit longer for the soils to actually recover and to kind of get back to normal.
And storms like this don't really do it.
Not one-offs, but we've had 2 weeks of this now, so we do fully expect that whenever we get the drought monitor on Thursday, that there's going to be minor improvements. We're still going to be in a drought across parts of our area, but we do expect maybe the severe drought to be over, but the following Thursday after this one will probably be the one that's going to be the most beneficial, where we could potentially see some shrinkage because of this wet pattern. But it doesn't go together, I will admit it, but because of the way things are measured, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep checking on the damage reports. If we've got something else to add, I'll jump back in here. I'll let you get back
Thank
to
you
your...
so much, Blair Miller.
No,
for joining
thank
us
you,
this evening.
Meteorologist Patrick P.
I appreciate you helping me with my little weather story tonight. All right, guys, so if you give me about 10 seconds. Oh, I mentioned that little boundary. There it is right there. That is that boundary draped across our area, and those showers and storms literally just firing up along it. We're not the only ones dealing with this. It's been parts of central Alabama, north and central Alabama. It's been portions of central Mississippi. We've all been getting these storms, parts of the Mid-South. This has been an everyday phenomenon for a while. So I know you're tired of it. I don't know if you have the First Alert weather app on your phone, but I sent out a push alert earlier this afternoon, kind of making a bit of a joke about the unsettled weather pattern. You know, it's been here for a while. It's still here. But let's get you through the next couple of hours. I want you to be prepared. More scattered showers and rumbles of thunder will be around as we head through the next few hours. So I fully expect there to be an active radar through around 11 o'clock. We'll trend a little bit drier through the overnight. I think we're going to be pretty dry for folks that are heading out to work tomorrow, but it is a First Alert weather day because we do expect moisture to return. But it looks like the moisture will return late day tomorrow. So I think we're good for the morning drive. I think we're good for lunchtime, and I think that 75% of you will be good for the evening commute. But you can see that the showers and storms are starting to bubble up, right? So if you have the First Alert weather app, not a shameless plug, but if you have it, you'll know before you walk out of your office if you have storms coming because it'll tell you we'll send you a push alert. We work very hard to keep that thing updated for you guys so that you can get the maximum use out of it. So go ahead and take advantage of that. But I do expect tomorrow evening to be messy like tonight, and we'll be tracking it probably a little bit later tomorrow night than the storms that we're tracking tonight. Just looks like they're going to hang on a little bit longer. As we head into the Thursday 8 o'clock time frame, there will be some showers and storms across parts of extreme North Georgia. I think we'll get a little bit scattered in the afternoon. The guidance is trying to dial back on the amount of moisture on Thursday, but that boundary is still going to be nearby, that pesky boundary. So I still think we're going to get a little bit of action post 2 o'clock, 3 p.m. I think we'll start to see things bubbling back over. And then we'll trend drier through the overnight, and then things start to trend a little bit better for us. The National Weather Service, this is a product basically that they use to basically determine the potential for flood watches, right? And so there's a 15% chance that a large part of North Georgia will be under a flood watch sometime tomorrow or Thursday. Even if we're not under a flood watch, you've seen from today that this rain can collect very fast and flood warnings can be issued. So I would just say err on the side of caution through the next couple of days, have those notifications turned on the First Alert app so that you will get the notifications. We will push out on our weather app, of course, the warnings, but our news app, they're really good at pushing out where there are hiccups, where there's flooding. If you had the app on your phone, you probably got the push alert for the I-285 Roswell Road situation. I don't update that. You know, the weather app's enough for me, but we have a team of people behind the scenes that you can't see on the other side of the camera. They're working hard to make sure that all of that information gets pushed out on that news app. So get your info there. That's something we're going to be concerned about over the course of the next 2 days. Widespread rainfall totals, 1.5-ish. But I do think that there will be some spots that pick up to 2, maybe another 2.5 inches over the course of the next 2 days. So that is something that we're going to be walking you through over the course of the week. And then heading into the weekend, those rain chances will gradually fall a little bit. If you're looking to make plans to get out and about Saturday, Sunday, I think those are great days to do so. They're not completely dry days. It's just that the coverage for storms will not be as widespread as what we're seeing this evening and as what we're going to see the next 2 days. So I think there's going to be more dry time to squeeze in some of those outdoor activities that you want to get done this weekend. Meanwhile, temperatures are going to hang out in the mid to upper 80s. I know it's been stormy. It's been a bit annoying. As long as we can keep the impacts to flooding at a minimum, I think that this rain is going to eventually be beneficial to us. It'll get us out of this drought. I just need y'all to drive a little bit safer. We had a lot of reports of vehicles that, I saw the video, vehicles driving through waters. I understand what it's like to want to get home. You just got to be a little bit safer, y'all, because you got to remember we're getting these fire and rescue people out into these situations, and you just never know what's in those waters. So you just want to make sure that you're driving a little bit more cautiously as we get this rainy period. Slow down, because I saw some of y'all driving on the interstate very fast. On the top part of that video that we showed you at the beginning of this clip, folks that were not going on that off-ramp, the ones that were just kind of getting on, y'all were speeding, and you could see the water flying up from your tires. So I just need y'all to just be a little bit better, all right? I just had to take a test today. Whenever you're driving on the roads and there's water covered, easier to slide, you need to leave more following space in between you and that car in front. This isn't driver's ed, but I'm just trying to shoot some game to you, because I want y'all to reduce these accidents. Leave more following time, drive a little bit slower. If the speed limit is 55 and there's water on the road, you should not be driving 60. Okay? Anyways, here's that 7-day forecast. I'm just messing with y'all. Do what y'all want to do. Just do it safely. We're going to have an update. Obviously, we have a reporter that is out in Cobb County because we have confirmed reports of some flooding in a neighborhood there, a neighborhood where I think about 20 homes have been impacted by some flooding. So we're working hard to gather that information for you, bring you some images. People were being rescued. From what we have heard so far, there have been no injuries, but we actually have a team on the ground getting that data for you, getting that update for you. And then, of course, we got to talk about these 2 first alert weather days for this rain and thunderstorm opportunities that we're going to be dealing with the next 48 hours. So y'all have a good evening. I have work to do to get y'all ready for the rest of the week. I will see y'all at 10 o'clock or 11, depending on if you're watching ANF on Peachtree TV or on Atlanta News First.